Right in front of me are fake dynamic fingerboard trucks. I'm gonna let you guys spot which ones are real and which ones are fake. Even if you spotted which ones are real, I'm gonna talk about why the fake ones might even be better. That is right, fake dynamics are actually a thing, and you've probably actually seen them before. These are actually just a wholesale truck, so they don't even have a name, but you can see why they're called fake dynamics. When you look at these straight on, it's actually difficult to tell which ones are real. You might be thinking, if these are China trucks, how can they even compete with dynamics? And that is actually a pretty fair question. Dynamic trucks and Black River trucks are pretty much tied for like the greatest trucks ever created, so it does sound strange to say these could be better than dynamics, but I will explain why. Having two boards set up with the fake ones and the real ones is kind of interesting because they actually feel kind of similar. The shape of a fingerboard truck affects the feeling of the board a lot more than I think a lot of people realize. These two trucks are both made in China, but they have a different shape and that affects the feeling so much. So having both of these boards set up with a very similar shaped truck is definitely interesting because they feel very similar. Even though the shape is there, that doesn't really mean the quality is also there. Let's go over every part of them and find out what the fake trucks actually lack. First, let's talk about the base plate because that is what holds everything together. Similar to what I said before, the shape of these trucks are very similar except for the quality of metal used for them. Placing both of these on your finger, you can definitely tell the dynamic one just has like a little bit more weight to it, which is also just going to make it a little bit stronger. The dynamic base plate already comes tapped with threads, which means once you put it on your board, it's just going to easily screw on. But the fake ones, you pretty much need to tap it yourself. You don't need any special tool to tap these. You're pretty much just going to put them on normally, except for it's going to be really hard the first time until the threads are kind of in place. With that being said though, I have stripped like 2 pairs of dynamics before and that pretty much wrecks the entire base plate. And I've never had an issue with the base plates on China trucks, which is actually kind of surprising. To be fair though, I also don't really switch like the trucks from setup to setup quite as much when I'm running like China trucks. So I do switch dynamics a lot more, which is going to wear out the base plate faster. Another thing you might notice is the fake ones have an inverted kingpin, which most dynamic trucks actually do have an inverted kingpin. I just choose to buy like the special edition ones. Sometimes though, when I do take the pin out and put it back in, it almost wants to strip as I'm like putting it in. I actually do sell these on Gripsion Fingerboards. I'll have a link in the description if you want to check them out. Every truck that gets bought gets fully tested before I ship it out, just to make sure the quality is there across all of the trucks. I don't care if you buy these trucks from me or anybody else, because these trucks are pretty common, but do make sure that they're tested before they get shipped. So the base plate of these trucks are very similar, but the base plate also doesn't really affect the feeling too much. All the magic is in the hanger. If you have a set of China trucks, you might notice that the wheels kind of have a bit of like a hollow feel on them compared to like the really dense feeling that dynamic trucks give the wheels. With testing out the fake dynamics, these don't feel as bad as like most other China trucks. On these other China trucks, you might notice no matter how tight you make the wheel, it's always going to just have a little bit of kind of rattle to it. But on the fake dynamics, you can tune these pretty much exactly how you want. Dynamics definitely feel better, but it's not too far off from the fake ones. The stock bushings on the dynamics are probably my favorite bushing ever made. I know a lot of people who hate the feel of like stock dynamic bushings, but honestly they're probably my favorite. The bushings on the fake dynamics though are pretty bad. I put some teak tuning bushings on these ones and they actually work so well. Something that I have noticed about the fake dynamics is you can pretty much put any bushing on them and they feel like really good. I think it's the shape on the hanger where like the bushing kind of gets like cupped that just makes them feel really good. Dynamic trucks do come with a little white pivot cup there and the fake ones don't have anything. I have noticed having a pivot cup does make the board feel a lot more kind of solid and it just doesn't really have as much like rattle. Most other China trucks don't have a pivot cup though, so it's not a huge problem. On the fake dynamics, there is definitely room for a pivot cup if you had one, but if it doesn't come with a pivot cup, you probably don't have one. The last part on the hanger are the threads, and this part is actually important. If the threads on your hanger strip, that pretty much is the end of your hanger. There are very little fixes that can actually fix like anything stripped on a fingerboard, but so far I haven't stripped the fake dynamics and I also haven't stripped the real ones, so I don't really know what to say. I can definitely see the dynamics have like kind of better quality threads than the fake ones, which is kind of just an obvious thing. I definitely wouldn't expect the fake ones to have better threads, so it kind of just makes sense. These trucks are very similar, but the price is not. If you buy the fake dynamics in bulk, you can pretty much get these for $1 a piece, which is just crazy. Most people who actually sell these put them up for like $10 to $20, which is a big jump from only $1. But then you also get fast shipping and you don't need to deal with importing them and import fees, which is definitely a hassle. If you go for the real dynamics fake option, those are still $50 trucks. It honestly depends what you're going for with your setup, but if you can find the fake ones for like $10, it might be a better deal. You can make your own decision when buying fingerboard parts, but honestly, if you don't want to spend a lot of money and you still want like a pretty decent setup, these trucks are an insane option. I'm also going to put a link to the Dynamic Special Edition trucks because these are my favorite truck and you should definitely get them if you want to. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.